How long has it taken to do?
Because I haven't exactly. These are slow. I'm not pushing the machines. I love the accuracy.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, I was thinking about 2 hours or even more. Cut out. So
2 hours to do.
But
is it live? Is it on?
But I'll work on getting a little faster.
Well, it's tough when you don't really sacrifice.
No, I don't want it to slide.
Who's starting?
Logan.
Okay, I'll find Logan.
And I'm coming over here.
You're gonna come to me?
I will come to you. You have a big tail.
Yep.
If I do say so.
Thanks.
Hey everybody, welcome to the shop. It is Friday, May 3rd, right? Yep. And we're here to see what's going on in the shop. And we are in, I say we, our shop guys are in 100% production mode. So if we don't mind, if Mr. Stark doesn't mind us walking into his lab in here with his robots. So this was at, a couple weeks ago was our editor shop, and it is no longer. This is now our CNC room, so CNC and turning room. But as you can see, we have both of Chris's creations back here, working on the production of some Woodsmith fine tools. And I think for the last couple weeks, you guys have probably seen us looking at prototypes on these guys, but as of today, May 3rd, these are on sale. So we have a set of trammel points there, made out of 1144 steel, I believe is what it was. We have a protractor head for our Woodsmith 36-inch wood rule. I like the panning that you're doing, John.
I've been practicing.
Yeah. And then we also have a square head. So to turn your wood rule into a large layout square, basically. So, did you get a good shot of that?
Mm-hmm.
Good beauty shot?
Yep.
Okay.
I just sold out of those now.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, those went on sale this morning. There is only 50 of each, I believe is what we're producing in this first run. So 50 of each is going to be available on, I believe it is store.woodsmith.com. And the easiest way to find them is click on products for the shop. And they'll bring you to that page. There you'll have the individuals, you'll have the trammel points, the protractor head, and the T-square head. Or you can purchase it as a bundle of all three if you already have the wood rule. And if you don't have the wood rule, you can also buy it as a bundle with the wood rule and save a little bit of money. So there is only 50 on this initial run, so that's a pretty cool limited time offering that we're doing. So, or maybe not limited time. We'll see how
things go.
We'll see how things go. So, Chris, you want to give us a?
Can you want to hype them a little bit? What they're made of? What some features are?
Well, you know, in this day and age where everything is the same, we decided to make things that were unique. So right here in the Woodsmith shop in Des Moines, Iowa, with our Woodsmith shop crew, Mark Hopkins, Steve Johnson, Dylan Baker, myself, we're doing our best to turn out some really fun, good quality tools for the shop. So this drafting head, for instance, it's maple so that it matches our maple wood rule. We have a wingay edge on it. And internally there's actually, you see a knob here. The knob presses against a specially formed piece of brass that just hugs this ruler but protects it from the knob. Internally, we've cut our shapes so that the wooden ruler bears on 2 points, so it's always tight, it's always square. So we try to really think things through and turn out a good quality product that you're going to like.
And that brass shoe is the same thing that's inside the trammel points, right?
It is the same thing. Up inside here, there's a custom-made brass shoe. Once again, it snugs the ruler, protects it from the force of the thumb screw, and locks it tightly in place. 5/16 trammel points, and what does that mean? It means that you can put a pencil in here if you like. Easy to change out. Good tough steel, easy to sharpen. Woodsmith fine tool. Very proud of these. They're useful. I've already used them. If you look at one of the issues of, or episodes rather, of the Woodsmith shop, I had a chance to use it to lay out the arc for the arch of a sofa table that we did. And they worked great.
Yeah, that was season 13, episode what, 7, 6, 7, something like that. Those will be airing probably come November, December. Yeah, fall is when they'll start airing. So we don't only produce them, but we use them too.
That's right. So I think this particular pair will probably never leave this shop. They're going to see a lot of use. And our final tool is a protractor. And this is kind of fun. We all have difficulties in laying out things, especially large panels. So that's where these tools come in handy. With the protractor, one of the things I like is that you're able to set a degree, and with the clear acrylic, you're able to get this corner of the ruler to mate with the edge of our protractor head, and that means when you're doing your layout work, these increments are all relevant, they're all accurate, you can use them. And that's what makes our protractor head special.
So let's talk about the ruler sticks. I don't think we've talked about those on our live session before. A lot of people have or have used yardsticks before, and these are not your standard yardstick. These Woodsmith Fine Tool maple rulers are hard maple. They're made for us here in the U.S. They are clad on both ends in brass. John's doing his Amish zoom on them. But they are clad in brass on both ends, so you have a good registration point. They're not going to get dinged up. They're not going to become inaccurate. And they have both 1/8 inch increments and 16th inch increments. And I must say, if we could sword fight with these in high school, somebody would have been injured rather than the cheap little, basswood ones that they make, by the millions. But these things are solid. So check them out if you guys are interested. Store.woodsmith.com. Click on products for the shop, and you'll find the rulers there. You'll find the bundle pack. You'll find individual ruler accessories. So we're pretty excited about them. And there's only 50 of them. So for now. Yep. So it'll be fun. So, you have anything else going on here, Chris?
Gonna look at the CNC stuff.
All right. Well, this is just the beginning, folks, because we're going to be making things for our sister publications, Resin and Garden Gate, hopefully, and we're going to be doing more things for Woodsmith. So, as you can see, these are my minions, and I force them to work very hard, and hopefully we're going to keep them busy.
So we have 2 of them.
Yes.
This is the one over here. This is the one that we just featured in the magazine, issue, what, 242, 243, that'd be right. Yeah, because we're working on 244 right now. So this is the one we built for the magazine. This is the one that's actually in the magazine. And this was the original prototype that Chris built a number of years ago. It's found its way out of its seclusion, out of its exile, and it is now at home in the shop. So it does need a spiffy matching paint job though.
Well, this way it helps me tell them apart.
That's true. That's true. Mark 1 and Mark 2.
That's right. But we've been putting these things to work, and they're doing a great job. So it's if you want to look at the magazine and ever consider building one of these, at this point, I think it's well proven.
Yeah, no kidding. And these things have been running almost 8 hours a day for the last couple days. So, aside from you stepping out for meetings and shutting them down, they've been doing some work.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, cool. Let's take a look at what I've been doing. I have, in the last week or so, there's an outlet. Over the last week or so, I've been doing more turning than I've ever done in my life, and it is addictive. So, I am working on, last week we took a look at the vacuum chamber I had out there. I was working on stabilizing some blanks. And what I've done is take these blanks and throw them in a vacuum chamber. This is Apple, but I've thrown these in a vacuum chamber with resin to infuse the blanks. And it's for an article I'm doing for issue 244, which will be I believe, August-September. Does that sound right? August-September issue. It will be getting to people early September, I think. But I have been working with these infused blanks, and they're awesome. I love them. So for the magazine. It's for myself, but for photos for the magazine, I'm working on a shaving set out of the acrylic infused stock. My razor blew up on me, so I need to get another blank in there. But the shaving brush is done, and what's really fun with this, and I just turned this, it's not finished yet, but you can also infuse these the resin with a dye. So when you put the wood or the stock inside the vacuum chamber, the colored resin gets soaked into the blank. So I'm playing with that a little bit. This is actually a two-tone one. There is electric blue and emerald green in there. It's kind of blended to make some cool blue-green spots. They're kind of cool. It's really cool for people that do pen turning, knife handles, duck calls. I actually have an elk call that I have up on my desk that I turn. It's super fun. This is a really cool process, and I think people will really like this article, and especially if they try it, it'll be awesome. So that is what I've been doing. I think Phil has a workbench full of stuff.
Hi everybody, I just wanted to give you an update on my rocking chair. I have the chair up on its feet and glued together, and the last couple of days have been working on the arms of the rocking chair. Now, the project that we showed in the magazine and on the TV show had just flat arms. If we can go right here where it's just a straight side and a taper on one edge, just to put them on there. But with the other curves going on the chair itself, I wanted to echo those in the shape of the arms. So I went with an arm that has a little bit of a curve on the inside edge. And then even on the top, I kind of curved it to the outside and then shaped the front end, because that's just going to get, be something that people are going to notice when they're sitting in the chair. So, and then one thing that I'm not sure how well you can see is I put an ever so slight curved tapered bevel on this inside edge, right where your elbows are going to be when you're sitting on the chair. So I cut the mortise on the bottom side, and then it fits into a notch on the back here. So I can just set it in place, and then after I get it all pre-finished and lock it in, and I think we'll be ready to go. And then all that's left for me is the rockers on this thing. And then the other project that I have going on, because why have just one when you can have multiples, is a coat tree that I'm making out of some walnut, and that I got from Logan actually. And I'm working on mocking up the shape of the profile. We'll have 4 of these slats. So this is one pair, and then another pair will come out 90 degrees to that. So I was trying to come up with something that's going to look good, have a nice pleasing curve to it, and be pretty stable. And I wanted to see how thick I could leave these slats and that they would still have a nice shape to it. So there'll be a block at the top, one about halfway or a little lower, and then a frame at the bottom to blend it into its curved shape. So this is sometimes what I do when I'm building something. I have an idea, I start building on it, and then start mocking it up with other little things in here. And then when you work with the people that I work, you sometimes really get the mock in the mock-up. So, but otherwise it's been really helpful to be able to talk to some other people and get some other opinions, because you can get a little closed-minded when you're working on a project and a little myopic on it. So I've appreciated having other people's opinion on it. So I think we're going to head over to Dylan, see what he's up to.
You want to go this way?
Gotta go around.
You
Follow
better-
the tail.
Yeah, you better follow your path back
All the
home.
breadcrumbs.
All right.
Hey, do I get to sit in the chair since I glued up the rockers for the TV show? Sure. Okay.
Hello everybody, welcome back. I believe last week we were discussing the shaker boxes I've been working on for the upcoming issue. They are in their completed form as of right now. I'm actually very happy with the way that they turned out. I think they look sharp and kind of a spin-off and a touch of modernity here in terms of what exists already with shaker boxes. So we did a little bit different with the tops and bottoms on these. You can actually see that they're both the same shape. The bottom is pinned in, which we talked about, and then the top is removable here. So just to kind of keep some consistency and a little bit of symmetry, we just went ahead and made the decision to have the tops and bottoms the same, which I think really makes for a nice uniform look. Again, the tops and bottoms got aniline dyed. It's just an ebony, and then clear coated. And then the actual box itself, we used a weather accelerator that was applied to directly to the cherry, as well as the brass tacks and the toothpicks. So you can notice that the toothpick pins actually turned black and actually matched. So that was kind of a happy accident there. But as far as the accelerator goes, before you actually put any oil or finish on it, it actually looks pretty gray, dull, and lifeless. So I actually added a little bit of butcher block oil before I clear coated them, and again, I think it really brought back some life to them. But again, I'm very happy with the way that those turned out. Those are number 1, 3, and 5. Look forward to those in the upcoming issue. They are very process intensive. But ultimately yield some very good results. And once you've done it a couple times, it actually moves really quickly. So don't let that certainly intimidate you from attempting them. They are a fun project to do. And most of the stuff that you have to do prior to the final product is stuff that it's a bunch of jigs and shapers you have to build. So once you have those made, you kind of can just pump these things out if you want to make them for gifts, or you end up making a business out of it, more or less. So the other thing I wanted to mention this week, Chris kind of alluded to earlier, that we've been working on not only the fine woodworking tools for Woodsmith, we've also been under negotiations doing some products for Cuisine as well as Garden Gate. So I'm kind of working more with the Garden Gate and a little bit of the Cuisine side. In front of me here, you actually see a series of blanks in different sizes. These will all end up going to the lathe. One of the processes I've done since I've ever done spindle turning is I actually will, again, square up my stock so I have my blanks the same size and length that I want them. And what I actually do is I'll take them back to the table saw, and I'll turn my table saw blade to 45 degrees and basically cut them into an octagonal form. And the reason for that is really cutting down on waste when you're turning, and if you're doing, again, spindles, it just makes, for me, a little bit more of a consistent spindle. You're kind of getting them to basically the diameter they're going to be, and you're just really clipping those corners on there to, again, create that cylindrical look. So I'm actually going to be with these doing some mozzarellas, which are just Italian rolling pins essentially. And then I'm also going to be working on some dibbles, which are for planting seeds in your garden. And those come in varying lengths. I'm just going to more or less be experimenting, with the form and shape to kind of make them a little stylized, a little more identifiable and unique to what we're doing, so that when people do finally see them, they know where they're coming from. So within the next couple of weeks or so, I'll be doing a lot of turning, just trying to get a little more proficient with that, so they can all turn out accurate and like one another without actually having to do anything on the machine other than, again, the lathe itself and a little bit of table saw work. So tune in for that. I don't know.
I have questions for you.
Okay, Logan's got questions for me.
I don't have questions for you. Our YouTube viewers have questions for you.
Sure.
Okay, first one. David Miller wants to know. I did not bait this question, by the way. Chris did not pay me to bait this question. David Miller would like to know, what's up with the table saw with no top?
It's got a top. It's got a skateboard top.
It does have a skateboard top.
So I guess the abbreviated version or story behind this table saw is this was the first table saw I acquired outside of design school. I actually bought this from my furniture design teacher at Iowa State, whose parents actually bought this for him when he graduated from Rhode Island School of Design. So it has a little bit of sentimental value. It got really good use. It's having some motor issues right now that I haven't addressed since I started working here, which we won't mention how long ago that was. But yeah, it needs to find a new home. It came from my previous shop that I had in downtown Des Moines, and I didn't really have room for it at my house at the time. So it's kind of made its home here for a while. So the top is actually in our auditorium. I removed it just so it was less cumbersome to move with a couple people, because it does make it a little wonky when there's a cast iron top on there. So,
So are you taking offers then?
sure.
Knowing that the motor is...
Yeah.
It's all there other than the motor.
Yes. Okay, then Anthony Chatterton is from the UK. Cannot get some of our woods that we have here domestically in the U.S. So he would like to know what other boxes or what other woods would work well for shaker boxes. Now, being in the UK, I think oak would work pretty well.
Sure.
Beech maybe.
Yeah,
I think
it's
beech would work.
red or white oak steam fairly well.
Beech.
Beech does well, and actually surprisingly when you're working with the thicknesses you are for these, so there's actually a very specific thickness that goes along with each size of these, or that corresponds with each size. I actually, on some of my prototype ones, I'll actually pull one up here. I believe this guy, I mean it's painted so you can't see, but this is actually hard maple. So, and I steamed it the same amount of time as I did all the others and got actually very comparable results. So again, you can't tell it's hard maple because I put milk paint on it, but I experimented with cherry, red oak, white oak, and as well as the hard maple, and then Logan was saying beech.
Beech should go pretty well. Yeah. I was just thinking what would be available in the UK. I'm terrible. The only wood that I know that's native to the UK, besides some of the oaks and I think some walnuts as well, is boxwood, which would be really sweet if you made some of those boxes out of boxwood.
Is that how it got its name?
That is not how it got its name, I don't think.
What's native?
Maybe it is, John.
I don't know. We have to do some research now.
But
Beech, elm, and oak.
yeah, elm would work fantastic for
They would have pretty grain too.
Yeah. Hey, I just showed an elm cutting board yesterday on the show we were filming. Yeah, elm is native to the UK, and that would work really well, especially since it has an interlocking grain. It doesn't want to split, so even though you are cutting and planing and sanding these down to a specific thickness, they would work really well.
Ash would work well too.
Ash would work well as well. Yeah.
The other thing to mention too is, you know, we had a steam system here, so that's inevitably what I used. John Wilson Shaker Boxes, who's been doing it for a number of years, he actually, what people traditionally do is they actually put these in like a galvanized or copper box, and then the water is in return heated with typically a couple hot plates. So that process is slightly different. You know, you're getting a lot more moisture injected in the fibers there that ultimately will loosen it up and make it a little bit more malleable. So it'd be worth experimenting with that versus, again, just maybe dry steaming them in a steam box. I know on some of mine, I just got them wet for a couple minutes under the sink again to kind of get them started before I steam them. So I think it's going to take a little bit of experimenting, but I think you'll probably have luck with just about any of those. When I steamed them, I would wait till they got up to about 170, 180 degrees, and then I would start my timing. And I steamed all my strips for my boxes for about 15 minutes. And that's just steaming, so I can't speak for the actually like boiling it again in a galvanized box or copper box. But again, I think you probably have luck with just about any ones that we mentioned. So it just takes a little bit of experimenting.
Okay.
So.
And I think we're going to throw a curveball at John and have John go talk about the table saw cabinet.
Okay.
Just because you skipped this morning because you had
sick kid.
You had a sick kid. So how is your kid?
good.
How is your kid doing, by the way?
Oh, she's all right. She was roller skating when I left, so I think she's feeling much better.
No upset stomach or anything?
No.
Okay. Okay.
I'll spare everyone the details.
Yeah. So it might get a little dark out here. I don't know. Maybe not.
So yeah, this is the table saw card. I think we're still just waiting on an extra piece of laminate for the table saw top portion. But we got the table saw on there, got all the parts cut, so the miter gauge will work. The router table fence on there, it's adjustable. You can move that back if needed. But this is kind of the unique part of this cart. Got the planer flip top portion to it. Test that out. I don't know if that's going to get in the way or not. I'm going to take that off, but. Flips up, works pretty well. Got the custom bolt system here to lock it in place. So everything came out pretty well for a working prototype as it went together.
You know, John, it was suggested that if somebody was building this for themselves and their planer had a little bit higher feed table, you could probably change that router fence to be an outfeed support as well.
Yeah, I thought about that too. We're just making a separate roller attachment that would attach down here somewhere, but
Because the infeed on the planer, I guess somebody could mount it however they wanted, but the infeed of the planer is on this side, so you'd be feeding
Right.
out towards the table saw.
yeah, so it feeds that way. And so when you're not using the router fence or the table saw fence, you take all that off, and so you'd have a nice flat outfeed table, or using the table saw outfeed this way, or work surface for whatever you want to use it for. So this would be nice for somebody that works in a garage, has to push everything into the corner when all the cars are in there, and wheel it out when you want to do a little woodworking. It's all self-contained, so nice little mobile workshop, I guess. So
Yeah.
pretty well done. It's got a lot of storage, drawers, cabinets, whatnot. So
So we got some shadow boxes that are
Yeah,
being
shadow
propped
boxes.
out.
cradle's done, ready to go. So we're ready to start photography
And
for this next issue, I think,
Yeah, I
next
think
week.
doors over there.
Yeah.
So, all right. That's all we have.
Okay, thanks for sticking around, everybody. Again, if you have any questions or comments about what's going on here at Woodsmith Magazine or down at the TV studio, we'd love to hear from you, and also to see any of the projects that you're working on, too. And one reminder, May 16th at 11 o'clock, middle time zone here in the U.S., I'm doing a seminar on sharpening. So it will be woodsmithshop.com/seminars to sign up for that, and any of the other seminars that we're doing. So I'm going to talk about my basic sharpening routine, and then dive off into some of the weird tools that I have and how to get those nice and sharp. So I hope to see you then, and if you have any questions about sharpening, send them my way. Thanks, everybody. Bye.